Hello, friends. It's great to see you again. My livestream viewers challenged me to complete an Alchemy Factory run without using any cauldrons, except for the final Philosopher's Stone, so they could see a vanilla build of almost all the products in the game. I also wanted to personally try a different logistics, money belt, and shop layout than what we used in Mega Factory 1.0, and by the way, a link to the full Mega Factory 1.0 build review is available in the description below. In this video, I'm going to guide you through the complete development of my factory, covering the land and plot acquisition, logistical considerations, the shop layout, the skill tree and XP strategy that we used, crafting and shopping mall designs, and a floor-by-floor factory tour to give you a balanced look at the build's advantages and disadvantages from this run. So, let's get started. The build utilizes 12 specific plots. This includes the initial 6 plot group and the 6 plots immediately behind it. The ground floor of the starting location is exclusively dedicated to the shop, as I prefer to keep production machinery separate from the retail area. Conversely, the ground floor of the other 6 plots is left empty to serve as structural support for the floors above. I'm categorizing logistics into 3 key areas. The first being the lift chasm, which handles the vertical movement of our products throughout the factory. The second being the floor and aisle configurations, so that we have a standardized layout for each production floor. And then third, the money belt, which is my system of coin transfer, supplying coins from the treasury to purchasing portals and kilns, and then returning profits from our dispatch portals and coin processors back to the treasury. The factory floor is separated into 2 distinct sections by a central quarter-tile wide gap. This design choice provides maximum flexibility for positioning belt lifts, which allows for easy routing of products, fertilizer, and fuel to any required location. My initial expectation was that the standard, non-cauldron product blueprints would necessitate multi-floor construction of my machines. However, I also intended to consolidate certain complex products with large space requirements, like blast potions and panacea potions, into this area for subsequent distribution. The chasm itself is framed by support pillars and concludes directly above the shop area. When beginning the construction of factory floors, the initial and most crucial step is determining your floor design. Don't postpone deciding the layout until after production machines are built, as this is too late. You're either going to get lucky and it sort of works, or unlucky and you're going to have to tear it down and build it all over again. This design features aisle A and aisle B on one side of the factory, and aisle C and D on the opposite side, utilizing a much wider aisle width than my previous typical approach. Notably, this layout is rotated 90 degrees compared to Mega Factory 1.0, which was characterized by 5 aisles that were narrower but longer. The factory's treasury is situated on the shop floor, specifically in the front right corner. It features several automated cash registers that process returned coins, initially converted them into silver coins, but now I'm using gold coins before storing them in buffer boxes. The primary coin belt is supplied by a large stack of coins, with the stack size increasing over time as production demands grew. I originally started with 1 silver coin, and then later increased to 2, 5, 10, and then 20 coins, with the current stack size being 50 silver coins at the end of this run. Each increase was closely tied to production needs. For example, the stack size was increased to 10 silver coins when rock salt production required 11 silver per stack. When the factory surpassed tier 8, the belt line started to struggle a bit, and it prompted me to increase the coin belt to supply 20 silver coins per stack. The final increase to 50 silver coins per stack was necessary when silver and gold ingots were being produced with kilns for the Luna relics. I designed my coin control system to meet 3 main requirements. The first is per floor control. Each floor utilizes a dedicated bank portal to manage its required coin stack size. While most floors only need 1 to 5 silver coin stacks, More resource-intensive floors require a higher stack size. The second is expansion flexibility. This gives me the option to add separate bank portals for the AB aisle side or the CD aisle side of a floor. Additionally, I can cut off a side to avoid sending coins to an empty part of the factory. And the third is returns. A separate coin lift transports coins back to the treasury. These coins come in from dispatch portals and processors that convert copper and silver byproducts into currency. The shop's aesthetic is intentionally simple and divided into distinct segments: miscellaneous goods, potions, jewelry, lesser relics, and greater relics. There's also a small area dedicated to fancy soap, though I had to skip making moonlit soap as the game's performance kind of struggled with the demands of reaching the soul relic while live streaming. I could really feel the difference between Mega Factory 1.0 with Cauldrons and Mega Factory 2.0 without. For each miscellaneous good, I opted for a full 3-slot display case. While perhaps not strictly necessary, it provides me the reassurance that the shop won't accidentally run out of a critical item, even if multiple customers coincidentally want the same thing at the same time. You could likely manage with just 1 or 2 slots per item, but given the massive shop floor size, there was no compelling reason to limit the space. I prioritized safety and buffer capacity. I applied a similar logic to relics using 2 stands for each type. I've observed customers purchasing an entire stand's worth of relics in one shot, and occasionally a customer will clear out both stands during a single visit. Again, a single stand probably won't hurt you, you'll be fine, but I prefer having a buffer to minimize customer competition. The large shop size makes adding extra stands effortless. As a fun interactive element, and because I love puns, viewers can use the Sign Me Up redeem to have their name displayed on a wall. A big thank you to everyone who participated. I focused on the customer management skill early on to maximize rewards from the mailbox quests. Around tier 5, I began producing bandages for dispatch and quickly followed that with gloom spores. And at this point, I prioritized the negotiation skill to increase my daily dispatch quantity, making dispatch profits my primary income source for most of the game. With the dispatch portals running, that's when I reset my skills and removed all the points that were dumped into customer management skill. Once I began crafting Venus relics, I invested in the sales ability skill due to their high cost and substantial profits. My final skill distribution, which is fairly standard for my runs, includes 4 points in logistics efficiency for 120 per minute belts, 4 points in factory efficiency for double speed machines, 5 points in alchemy skill for 36% more liquids, 6 points in fuel efficiency for 60% more fuel and to counter the factory efficiency skill, making them burn more fuel. I have 19 points in fertilizer efficiency, which gives me 190% more fertilizer. I have 11 points in the sales ability, which gives me 60% more shop profits. And then finally, I have 5 points in the negotiation skill, which increases 125% more dispatch quantity on a day-to-day basis. For a complete breakdown of my XP gain, skill choices, and timing, refer to the Mastering the Alchemy Factory skill tree for maximum profit video, linked in the description below. My malls are situated 2 floors above the main shop. This space was originally dedicated to older starter production machines that I later dismantled because they relied on more basic materials, and they lacked essentials like steel for metal stands and bronze rivets for superior grinders. I mention this because it's really common for a player to come to me and ask, how do I upgrade my old builds without breaking my shop sales? My solution is to build a new floor upstairs, construct the final, more advanced versions of your production machines there, and then clear out the older setups below. Those vacated floors are then repurposed for other needs. The mall floor is organized into specific areas. Aisle A and B are the shop mall. This section is dedicated to items sold exclusively in the shop. Production needs are minimal. Even at maximum customer purchase bonus, you really won't need more than about 10 items per minute of any single product. Therefore, typically one machine per item is sufficient. On the other side, aisle D is the crafting mall. This area produces all the items required for crafting. It features a system of belt lifts and storage boxes designed to create grab boxes of every item, which makes them accessible on every floor. This is my preferred, standard approach for a crafting mall, and I find it highly effective. While some others prefer a builder's closet on every floor, I personally favor the simplicity and centralized feed of a single mall. Do note that any crafting material that's also sold in the shop is split off from the feed line to the supply boxes and sent downstairs to the shop for sale. In the central area, along aisle C, I have a few growth potion machines, which ensures all the nurseries across both the shop and the crafting malls are consistently supplied, and I sell these potions in the shop themselves. I want to take you on a tour of the factory, floor by floor, starting at the bottom, so you can see the layout of all the components. As we proceed, I'll share my commentary, including the advantages and the disadvantages of this design. Having now built two distinct styles of mega factories, I've developed much clearer opinions on what design elements I prefer and which ones I don't. Alright folks, come on in the shop. So you can see for the shop, I put a perimeter of platforms around the whole edge on the upper floor to give me a place to walk and to throw products down via cannons. In this build, I didn't want anything to go through a floor, so nothing clips through a floor. All of the cannons have line of sight to their products, which I liked. I didn't put a lot of effort into the aesthetics of the shop floor. I really just wanted a bare bones look for the design, but I wanted it to be really easy to stock things. So this worked well. Having the cash registers worked well. I didn't really have any comments on the negatives or positives of this floor. I think it's a choice to go kind of minimal on design. Now, I did like the cannons. This was fun. It is fun to watch these cannons go crazy when customers buy things and they get restocked. And it was nice to stack them because it's made it pretty compact. We have pretty much everything in the factory being sold right here using these set of quarter tiles that come to these pillars. So I like this, and I thought it was very compact, and it's really easy to get all of the jewelry and the potions and everything to their products, as well as the relics. Now, I'm not selling a lot of relics because at the end of the game, I really wasn't worried about profit, so I turned off a lot of the sales except for the Venus. That's why you're going to see some empty shelves. So that's it for this floor. Other than making the soul relic right here, I'm pulling off all the ingredients needed to build a soul right here because it was convenient. And I built some quartz grinding machines here to make perfect diamonds just because I wanted to speed things up towards the end. So we're just kind of breaking the rules for these two little quartz machines and sending the perfect diamonds to the soul. I also made sure that we sold at least two. So I made one for the quest to turn in. This save is right before turning in the last soul for the quest. And then we have one here that I ended up selling in the shop. So I didn't want to just make one soul relic. I felt like being able to mass produce relics, even if it's really slowly, was more of the goal. So everything, all the products that we need for the generation of the soul are coming in using automation. Let's go upstairs. We go from floor 1 to floor 2. Now, floor 2 is where we have all the malls. So starting from left to right, we have an empty aisle A, nothing there. Aisle B is the shop mall. This is where we're making very minimal amounts of everything. The linen, the bandages, the healing potions, all that stuff. Just things that are only sold in the shop, as minimal as possible. Also, you'll see that I did not use any thermal extractors on this run. In fact, if I pull up the research, we did some interesting things here. Didn't research some things just for fun, like didn't research the incline conveyor belt. I just wanted to see what it was like when you don't have that. Didn't research the large storage box, just wanted to experiment. You know, what's it like when you don't have a large storage box? I'm not saying that these are great choices. I just wanted to try something different because I played so much Alchemy Factory. Didn't research the tunnel conveyor. Wanted to add that extra layer of complexity. No bounce shrooms. Had to use only stairs. And no big liquid thing, although I don't really use the big sphere liquid flask that much anyways. No blast furnace because I'm a hater. I don't really like the blast furnace that much. No aesthetics, and no reinforced platform because I don't really use that thing very often. It wasn't that big of a deal. No thermal extractors. I wanted to do this run entirely using just regular extractors, and I found that it really didn't impact me much at all. I was very surprised how much nicer it was not having to build up to the 16th floor and not having to run up and down and set up logistics. I actually kind of liked it quite a bit. I didn't really notice a big difference, at least in this run. Didn't research the silver amulet because I didn't want to make it, because lapis lazuli being generated without cauldrons is kind of painful. And then lastly, didn't want to make the crowns just because of the jewelry required, and I didn't want to make the moonlit soap. Really could have probably done that. I have the materials, but I just didn't. I think we kind of ran out of steam after 12 live streams of playing Alchemy Factory without cauldrons. So pardon the little side quest there. We'll continue on floor 2. So this is all you need, like about half of an aisle, 3/4 of an aisle to sell everything that you need in the shop. Use the overhead conveyors. Those came out while we were working on this build, so I switched some of the stuff to the overhead conveyors. Aisle C is the growth potions, which we sell and we use for growing things. And then aisle D is the crafting mall. The only exception is I am pulling off stone for mortars because it was just kind of convenient, but this is the one thing that's not a crafting item that's over in the crafting section. And as you can see, for each product item, we're just doing a 50-50 split. We send half of the things that need to be sold to the shop, and we send the other half to the logistics elevators here for our grab boxes. And this is very similar to what I did in Mega Factory 1.0. I think this design works well. So you can see all the things we have for sale here. Most of this aisle is taken, and that's it. So this one floor pretty much makes everything that you need to sell that's not a relic, or some of the potions. You don't need a lot of space, and the jewelry, I suppose, too. But all the miscellaneous goods can be made on one floor, even without cauldrons, pretty easily. You'll notice for the stairs, I'll just point that out real quick. We've got double stairs down here. There's a set of stairs way over on the other side. And there's a mirror set of stairs right here. So these stairs are mirrored on the sides. But for everything else, I just used a repeating pattern of stairs coming up the side. So on this floor, we're making the fairy tears and the Luna. It's interesting how little you need to make a Luna, because you can make all the ingots in this little space. So all of our steel ingots, bronze and copper ingots, and then all of the ingots for the silver and gold take up this little bit of space. Luna does not take up a lot of space or materials. And then over here, we're feeding everything in to make the Luna, along with the moon tears. So we're creating the fairy tears, we're extracting those using regular extractors, and then we're making the moon tears right here. The stardust is coming from another floor, where we're grinding the relics, because we can't use a cauldron, so we're grinding the relics, the Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars, into stardust, and that's how we're making the Lunas. And they're being fed Panacea Potion, because by this point, you have Panacea Potion. If you're making Lunas using production, you should definitely have Panacea Potion by that point. Okay, let's go up aisle 4, or floor 4. This floor makes one thing, pocket watches. So we have aisle A making 2 machines of pocket watches. I can actually come in here. You can see we have, oh, pardon the summary screen. We have 2 advanced assemblers creating pocket watches per row of machines. So there's 1, 2 rows there. And then in this aisle, we're making 2 more. So that's 8 total advanced assemblers. And then over here, we're doing kind of the same thing. We got 1 more aisle C, with a pair of pocket watch producers. So that would be 12 total, making quite a few pocket watches in order to reach our dispatch goal. And then aisle D, I have it here in case we needed more pocket watches, but by this point, I was kind of tired of making pocket watches. And this was a huge contributor to our money. Like I said earlier, I made quite a bit of cash off of dispatching because I like it. I was interested to try using mostly dispatch profits on this run instead of shop profits. Okay, aisle A for floor 5 is the same across the board. Floor 5 just makes blast potions. So we have blast potions over here. And again, I'm just using the regular extractors. I actually think they're better in a lot of ways than the thermals. I know you'll probably roast me in the comments, but I'm a fan. As well as for the lime water. We're making the black powder. So this is our blast potion machine. The only thing that I did later on was I retrofitted gentian in here to make the oblivion essence out of. Originally, we were just, I think, grinding. We were burning iron ingots because we had the money. And then later on, I changed it to gentian, and then we grind the leaves into powder and send the powder and the nectar in. But these are the same machine. We just made slightly different variations. We have 2 different styles of blast potions back here. And all of these are just going to different floors. These blast potions are being sold. They're being sent for fuel to specific floors. So there's 3 machines, and then this is 4 machines. So these 2 aisles make up a full belt of blast potions, and these 2 aisles make up a full belt of blast potion. I left a lot of space in case we needed more, but we ended up not anymore. And then there's some growth potions attached as well right here, because we need a little bit of growth potion for all that red current. So that is floor 5. Let's go to floor 6. Floor 6 is kind of half empty, just ended up not needing more than half the floor. That was left over for expansion because this side of the floor is for dispatch. So this is our mega bandage machine. This is when they introduced the new expandable beam. So we consolidate a lot of things by using that and cramming in a full belt of bandage machines, feeding this little dispatch portal here. Probably a little more than a full belt at this point. But I wanted to never have to make bandages again. So we have a ton of bandages coming in here. And then we have, I think, 6 Gloom Spore machines. Each one is a blueprint being repeated again and again. Each one is making its own linseed oil and red currant fruit wine locally. And so we're using this to make all the dispatch for the Gloom Spores. And that's actually all you need. Even with 5 points in negotiation skill, we max out on the Gloom Spores and the bandages every day. And then over here, we just have growth potion being made. And again, using the overhead conveyors. Really just kind of for fun to try it, to experiment with it. I don't like that you have to make these sort of poles to intercept the belt. You can't feed the belt. The hanging conveyor belt cannot be fed from the sides. So you have to kind of intercept it and put up a pole of some sort or something to intercept the belt to add things along the sides. Not a problem if you're adding to the ends, but ended up doing this just to try it. I don't recommend this design. This doesn't really satisfy any design requirement, but I wanted to try it because it had just come out. And if you see my fuel and heat video, this is where that video features the coke powder machine. This is that coke powder machine that is very slowly being used. It doesn't really use that much coke powder, but it is feeding everything over here. And that way, the coke powder is never going to run out. I never have to worry about my dispatch running out. And we don't need any fuel for bandages because it's just all plant-based. So this other side of floor 6 was for if I needed to double my bandage and Gloom Spore production, but we never had to. By the time that would be necessity, we had good shop profits. Okay, let's come up to floor 7. This is the lesser relic floor. We'll start with aisle A. That's where we're making Jupiters. We have 4 machine making Jupiters. Now, originally I was making Jupiters through the byproducts from advanced fertilizer, but at this point in the game, we don't make advanced fertilizer anymore. There's no point. You might as well just use growth potion or fertile catalyst or panacea potion. So we're just buying the ingredients now. And you can pretty easily fit, I have 4 Jupiter machines in here. You could probably fit 5 or 6 if you really tried, or more if you put them in, kind of side by side. But this is more than enough. This makes tons of Jupiters. So they have the 4 Jupiters, as well as this aisle is making 1 Shaper of Saturn. This was also featured in my heat video. Here's our coke powder machine feeding all of this glass. So that's 2 full belts of glass going to our Saturn, as well as all of our salt coming from rock salt. Alternatively, you could definitely use the Athenor recipe, and that would provide you a bunch of sand and salt. But the floor plan for that would be pretty hefty, and it just seemed complex. We have the money. I went with the rock salt. You'll find that that's kind of my default. If it's going to add a lot of complexity and floor space and just it becomes annoying, I'm not going to bother with it. So we ended up doing this instead, and this is giving us plenty of Saturns. You really don't need any more. And then here's all of our bricks being made to feed the Saturn. Next over here, we have the Mars. Oh, and while we're going by, you can see here's our 1 arcane processor that is taking all of these relics and turning them into stardust. And then you can see the stardust is going down to be turned into moon tears. So here we have our Mars production, kind of the same thing. Lots and lots of bronze ingots being turned into rivets and copper ingots being turned into bearings. It's hard to get the ratios right on here. You're typically going to be positive on your copper side, And so you got to do something with the copper. You can't have the copper back up because then the bronze will no longer produce. And so you'll see we have copper bearings being built for most of these processors, but then the top processors, we're taking the overage of our copper ingots and turning them into copper coins, converting those into silver coins, and then tossing this back into the treasury. So that's how we deal with byproducts to construct the Mars, is we just turn any of the extra copper into coins, and that way we're really just kind of maintaining the speed on the bronze rivet side of things, because we're always going to overproduce the copper side of things. And then we got a bunch of Athenors cooking up our steel, and the rest of it's being turned into nails from the iron. Last on this floor should just be some growth potion, and it is, because we need fertilizer. You're probably noticing a theme here. When I need fertilizer, I try to just build a growth potion machine. Here we actually have, I think, a couple of them. We have 2 growth potion machines plus a whole bunch of linseed oil that I needed, all being produced kind of in mass right here. So this is all floor level fertilizer. This floor uses the fertilizer in ILD for the rest of floor 7, but no other floor is using this fertilizer. And again, these coke powder machines that you'll see baked in here, there's a coke powder machine right here. This is fuel for just this one growth potion machine. This growth potion machine over here has its own fuel. That's its coke powder machine, etc. So we're not sharing most of our coke powder machines. They are just so cheap to make, so tiny to produce, that I never go with the Athenor version of coke powder, because it would significantly increase our footprint, significantly improve our complexity, or make our complexity not good, increase complexity. And for what? By the time you get to certain points in the game, you have so much money that it doesn't really matter. Money's not really a problem if you're playing the game with money in mind. Okay, we'll go up, go to floor 8. Start over here. So floor 8, we're making fertile catalyst. I think this whole floor is fertile catalyst. So Aisle A and Aisle B are fertile catalyst that we're using in the factory for things like, I think we have a world tree using it and a few other places where we're consuming it. And this is a full belt, I believe, coming out of here. We can go check. We'll take a look. Yeah, we have a full belt of fertile catalyst being produced in each aisle. So this is 2 full belts across these 2 aisles, and these are being sent elsewhere in the factory. I actually used that new bridge building, not because I had to, but I just wanted to try it out. So we're sending our fertile catalyst over to this side and then using it to go to a logistics belt, a lift rather, upstairs. And then these are exactly the same machines. It's just we're dispatching the fertile catalyst in aisle C and the fertile catalyst in aisle D. And this is as far as I went with dispatching profits. We don't dispatch the silver amulets or the moonlit soap because I never even bothered researching them or building them. So the way I'm working this is that every day we pretty quickly reach our dispatch amount. It usually doesn't take that long to reach our 2,700 per day. And then the rest over, I put in a box here that I use to kickstart other systems, because you're going to find yourself just needing lots and lots of fertilizer when you're starting up late game machines. So I can come in here and grab a whole box of this extra fertile catalyst and use it where I need it to kind of kickstart machines. So that was the plan there. It just makes it easy to kind of bootstrap systems. We're almost at the top. We're at floor 9, I believe. Yep, we're at floor 9. So here we're making the potions that we're using for Venuses. This is the Venus relic floor. So healing, vitality, and transformation is in this aisle. Healing is easy, requires basically nothing. The vitality is not that hard, just lots of fruit wine, and we're cooking all that here. And then for the transformation, it's really just the kind of the gloom spore machine that we had for dispatch. We rip that out and we pair it with coke powder, and then we put those assemblers for the potions. And all of these come to the back wall, and just built a little baby bus along the back wall where we aggregate any leftover growth potion that we're making in other aisles, along with all of our kind of lower tier potions. I'll come back up to the front so it's easier to follow what we're doing. There we go. So this is growth potion, and we have 2 sets of machines in aisle B. This is a set of growth potion. There's 2 machines, or actually 3 machines in this part of the aisle. And we have 3 more machines in this part of the aisle. So we have 6 total growth potion machines right here. This is providing the growth potion for all of the things that need growth potion for all our nurseries, and growth potion for the Venus relics. I'll go back there in just a moment. And then over here, we're making blast potion. So we need 2 sets of blast potion. These 2 together form 1 full belt. And so that way we have all the potions we need for the Venus relics. So this floor only makes Venus relics. These machines aren't shared anywhere else. And we're using all of these potions to build 6 shapers worth of relics at the same time. The only thing that's different from what you saw with the blast potion and whatnot is here's all of our sulfuric acid being built. So we have a blast potion machine right here. And then I sort of snuck in a brine and sulfuric acid setup where we're using rock salt, crushing that down into the salt, and we're just throwing away the sand. I don't really care about the sand, but you can build really compact stuff when it comes to these extractors. So brine is coming in, we're adding that to the sulfuric acid, and then cooking a whole bunch of sulfuric acid that goes here, as well as we're using it upstairs to make quicksilver for the mercury. So this is a great point. Once you have something like this set up, like first off, I recommend making a 6 shaper setup for your Venus relics, because each one is going, to make all of these requires a full belt of each potion. It's not that difficult, as you can see, to build a full belt of each potion. Growth potion takes quite a bit. It's way less if you're using cauldrons. Same for blast potions, they're way smaller. But this floor, this entirety of this floor is just dedicated to building these 6 shapers of the Venus relics. And that can be used for XP. It gives you tons of money. This is when I went into heavy shop profits, put a lot of points into shop profits. The Venus really carried us into the late game. This provided us all the money that we needed to buy the more expensive stuff. So I recommend that for mass production, especially if you're not doing a cauldron build. It's the best profit maker per square foot that I can think of. Okay, floor 10. We have a bunch of blast potions coming in because we're starting to make panacea potions. So we have a full belt of blast potions over here across these 2 aisles. And then over here we have nothing in aisle C, didn't end up needing it. And then aisle D is where we make the brandy to combine with the fertile catalyst that you saw at a lower floor. Those 2 machines with the fertile catalyst, they're coming up here. So we have all those blast potions from the side along with the fertile catalyst coming up from a lower floor, coming in to both feed these machines and create the aqua vitae. Over here's our aqua vitae, and then over here is our panacea potion. So we're just taking all those ingredients in one aisle, and these 2 machines of panacea potion are more than enough for shop sales and to provide all the fertilizer and fuel that we need for the really late game stuff. You don't need a whole lot of panacea. And this is different from a cauldron build where you typically mass produce panacea potions. But to do that, it's basically a floor and a half or so of machinery just to run 2 of these. My computer would explode trying to make that much machinery and live stream. So we stopped with just the 2 machines. That felt like plenty. Okay, let's go up, I think, to the last floor where we have anything. Yes, this is the final floor. We only go up 11 floors in this build, and you can see there's kind of a lot of space and whatnot. Ooh, there's a to-do to fix the fuel line. We already did that. Nobody saw that. So here we have the Mercury. And the Mercury is the crusher of souls. Having to create all the jewelry for the Mercury is interesting. It's interesting. It's a lot of weird ratios. It's a lot of machines. And so turquoise, that's easy. We're just using pieces of different machines to build the turquoise to bring in the sand and the healing potions. Here we have a fairly large setup to build the malachite. I'm not really happy with this, but honestly, I was getting a little fatigued as we got to this point, having to build yet, even more clay powder. I'm really hating clay by this point in the game. So we built slightly less than we needed to keep the shaper running in terms of malachite. Topaz was easy. It's just this one machine being fed the sulfuric acid that you saw down below for the Venus relics, along with a quartz grinder that is supplying the dull shards, whatever it is that we needed. The crude shards, rather. So Topaz is easy. Malachite's really the bottleneck. We could have built a lot more malachite, but I kind of got fatigued. I did build a little more malachite right here. We have another setup, kind of half of a machine making malachite and producing it. But as you can see, the malachite's where we're kind of low on materials. And so I stopped selling it in the shop as well. We're selling all the other jewelry in the shop, but the malachite I'm hoarding for the Mercuries. So that's in aisle A, kind of the lesser stones, if you will. Aisle B is obsidian. So this entire setup here is set up for obsidian. I'm also grabbing the volcanic ash because I know we need that for, I believe, the eternal catalyst. But we produce so much that if it backs up, see, we're slowly backing up, it'll go into the trash. Because with this run, the only thing I needed the volcanic ash for was producing the catalyst. So don't really need it aside from that. And then over here, we're grinding meteors. So we have a bunch of meteor grinders because that's the way to get the gems without using cauldron. Again, the only thing I allowed myself a cauldron for was the philosopher's stone. So we have a multi-stage filter here. We're just getting rid of the stone, I think the coke, and the iron sand. So these black boxes, we're just throwing those away. By this point in the game, we just don't need that stuff. It's just extra junk. So it's being filtered out. And then the rubies, the sapphires, and the emeralds are being filtered out and sent to a cauldron where we are making the philosopher's stones. So these just run nonstop. The one thing I do recommend is I shoved a stone into each one so we didn't mass buy these meteorites, because this is 100 gold. These 5 here is 100 gold worth of meteorites. And we're sending 50 gold stacks into, here, I can turn that on real quick, 50 silver stacks rather, 50 silver stacks coming in. So setting this up was really expensive to get it started. And that's why I use bank portals on my money belt, so I could make sure that only this area is getting the 50 silver stack. Everyone else doesn't need that much money. But that's what that's producing. And then we have the eternal catalyst here. We're just taking fertile catalyst, which you saw was made below, along with the volcanic ash right behind you, and just sneaking off a little bit of that aqua vitae for our panacea potions, because you saw the panacea potions not running 24/7. We're having all those run into the cauldron, making the philosopher's stones, and those are being combined with the resonant catalysts to turn into the eternal catalysts. So that's where the eternal catalysts come from. That's the ingredient that you need to make your soul relic. And in the back here, we have all those gemstones being sent to the mercury shaper, which again is really just starved for the malachite. That's the bottleneck here. I'll come back to the front and look at the last machine here. Ooh, one last thing. I just run by it real quick, but the other thing you get from the meteorites are different shards and adamants. So what we have here is a filter for the shards, and we have a filter for the adamants. And we're sending those to grinders to turn into perfect diamonds. So you don't get a lot of perfect diamonds from this, but you get enough. And I'm just throwing the obsidian away. We ended up setting this up after building the obsidian machine over here. And then I realized, you know what? We just don't need this for anything. We are so flush with obsidian. Look at all this obsidian that we're making. You don't need a whole big machine. Like, this little machine produces all the obsidian you need. So I am throwing it away. That was a mistake. I should have thought through the obsidian and potentially used it for something, and I just didn't. So that was something that was a learning moment. Now, everything else in here is for lapis. This entire side of the factory basically makes lapis lazuli. So we're making copper powder and unstable catalyst over here, and then we're making the black powder, blast potions, and quicksilver over here, along with the lapis machine in the corner. So just lots of blast powder machine essentially over here. And then we're making the lapis there through different stages. So the stage 1 advanced athenors are taking the copper powder, the black powder, and unstable catalyst and turning that into our silver and crude. We're then sending that to the next athenor and providing the impure silver powder along with crude shards that we're just buying from grinding quartz, and gentian that we're making ourselves here locally. And so those ingredients are just coming in. Watch up over here. Those ingredients are coming in and turning into the lapis lazuli as well as some other products. And the other products are going in the garbage because I just, I didn't want to deal with these. We don't need them and you're not getting that many. What I probably would have done here is grind these up into the same thing that's grinding up the perfect diamonds. Over this point, we just didn't need them. So just poor planning. If I could do this again, I would have grabbed this for the perfect diamonds. At the same time, by this point in the game, you're so rich that it's like, do I really want to set up belts to take these few little products all the way over there to get ground up? I didn't. I was feeling kind of lazy. And then we're taking, we're basically stealing a little bit of the crude silver powder along with some vitality essence and some sulfuric acid and turning that into the quicksilver. We make way more quicksilver than we need. You can see the quicksilver is full. It's backed up. because the bottleneck is the gems for the mercury, not the quicksilver. So that's kind of it for this floor. Let me come back here. And then we'll just go to the roof just to show you there is no floor 12, really. It's just an empty floor that is ready to be turned into whatever it needs to be. And there you go. That's a quick tour of the factory floor from top to bottom. In this video, we covered the complete development of my factory, covering the land and plot acquisition, logistical considerations, the shop layout, the skill tree strategy, crafting and shopping mall designs, and a floor-by-floor factory tour. I hope you enjoyed it, hope you learned a thing or two, and you found this informative. Hope to see you in the next video or a live stream. I'm available pretty much every day on both Twitch and YouTube, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.